Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the TeamConnect quarterly product webinar. First things before we start, I'm going to go over a couple of housekeeping items. There should be a poll question right now appearing on your screen. It's really for us to get a sense of how all of our clients are hearing about these webinars and how our clients would prefer to hear about these webinars. So please let us know how you heard about it, and if there's a way that you would prefer to hear about it, go ahead and send it into the chat so we can make sure that we're reaching everyone in the right way. Now, when you guys are answering that question, I'll go ahead and introduce our topic. So my name is Melissa Brox, and I am the Manager of Client Success here at Mitratech, and I'll be going through search views and global search. So this topic was determined because of some of the feedback we heard after the last webinar. So we're really trying to make sure we gear these towards y'all, and at the end I'll ask another question about what the next topic should be. As you have questions during the webinar, please feel free to type them into the chat to all panelists. That way myself and Abby on the marketing team will receive the questions and we can make sure to address them. We'll look to address most of these towards the end of the webinar. We do have a lot of information to go through, and I want to make sure we have the time to go through all of it. Any questions that we don't get to, we'll make sure to reach out to you guys personally and really dive into those questions and make sure we're answering them specific to your use case. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Keep in mind we are recording this, so if you need to refer back to it, we'll have it on the Client Support Center for you to look at it. Our agenda today, we're going to take a look at search views versus global search, just so we have an overall baseline understanding of what they are, what they do, and how they differ. And then we'll dive into the deeper demos of creating search views, using them, and the same with global search as well. So search views versus global search. So we'll go over search views real quickly. So they are predefined, custom, and saved. So you see here on our screenshots, we are in a disputes object, and it's really the single object. We have our predefined searches, which are commonly referred to as object collections, and then we have our custom searches, which user can use to, if there is not an object collection here that they are seeing, getting them the right information, they can do a custom search, and then they can go one step further and even save that, my apologies, you even save that custom search into a personal save search, something that is available to themselves and they can use each time they log into TeamConnect and search those items. Additionally, search views allow you to use the search and mass update, so this is something new that was introduced in 4.0, and it's a really helpful tool to take a group of objects, matters, and mass update a field in that search view for all of those matters. Again, it is single object, so it focuses on like on the disputes, on transactions. For instance, if you're looking at tasks, it's single object focused. And then another extremely helpful feature of the search views is being able to export them to Excel or PDF. And this way, if you wanted to take this information out into Excel and work with it and play with it a little bit more, it's extremely helpful in that. And I see sometimes users, instead of creating reports, they could even create a search view and export that to Excel and work with it as a report that way. And lastly, in portal panes, so another great way to utilize search views is put them in a portal pane on a home page for a user, display information to them each time they log in, items that haven't been assigned yet and are pending their assignment, or things that they have in an open phase, things that are requiring their attention. And a great part about searching is that it's real time, so it searches the application database. That way, any information that's in there will show up in your searches. If you're familiar with the LawTrack native report or the TeamConnect native reporting, it does run on the data warehouse, so it's not real time. So searches are a great way to, if you're ever needing something out of turn with the data warehouse refresh, you can use searches. So the there was one question. This demonstration, we're doing an instance of TeamConnect 4.2. Search views have been available in TeamConnect for quite some time. The mass edit was something that was introduced in TeamConnect 4.0, and the rest of the features that I've shown have existed prior to that as well. The next we'll review global search and what this is. So global search was redesigned in TeamConnect 4.1, and what the main purpose of this redesign was to make it truly searchable across objects and performant. The main concern we heard from clients in the global search was that it would slow down their system and at times sometimes kill it. So there were times in which our clients would actually remove global search capabilities from their users, and so they didn't have access to it. Now global search is much more performant, redesigned. It has configurable results displays, so you can see here on this left-hand side there are different filters you can add. You can filter by matter type. It'll display all of the information that corresponds with your filtering and your search here. If I wanted to drill down by advice and counsel, I can do so and apply that filter, and you can see that show up too. It enables you to download documents directly from this results page, as well as open up records in edit mode. And it's full document context indexing and search. So it's great capabilities. It really goes above and beyond the previous global search. And it also enables you to save recent searches up here at the top right. And this will save your last 5 recent searches automatically. And contrary to those search views, it is cross-object. So you can see previously when I had the search screen up, it displayed advice and counsel, dispute, task, document, everything that fits that criteria you can display. And then another thing to note is this one also is real-time. So the thing that really enables us to search this quickly with the global search is the Elasticsearch server. So this is something that's new, and it is a separate server. That's with the global search is not searching the application database itself. It's searching off the Elasticsearch capabilities. And another thing to keep in mind is when you upgrade to 4.1, this is included, and it's not an extra cost. So real quickly, just to compare and contrast, search views are single objects. You can use tools like Search and Mass Update. They're predefined or custom. They're really picking an attribute and searching on that attribute in the system, and then you can export those results, and you can fit them into portal panes. So global search is a little bit more cross-object. It's more real-time, configurable, downloading documents, then saving those recent searches, and it's full content searching, so you can not necessarily choose matter type must be this, must be disputes. You can search, contract or disputes, and it'll pull up all the results with that. So in real-world usage, the search views are better for displaying tasks or reminders that you need to pay attention to that are incomplete or upcoming. It can show what things are pending your attention in terms of this is all in the intake phase and you need to be moving it into the open phase, or this is into a pending closure phase and you need to be moving it to the closed final phase. The global search is for researching similar cases, researching similar documents, looking at information across objects. I have a case that is very similar to a case one of our attorneys told me about several years ago. I'm not sure what that case really is, but I'm going to plug in a couple of attributes and see if I can find it and use that case as an example for me to work on my current case. So we're going to go a little bit into search views, and right now I'm actually going to dive into TeamConnect and demonstrate some of the features, and then we'll create a search view. So right now I am in TeamConnect and I navigated to legal and disputes. You can see when you navigate there, I have a whole host of search collections and object collections over here to the right. the first thing that will appear when you navigate there is that recently viewed, and it's pretty common search view to display name, date created, assignee status. You can then dive into any of your predefined or object collection searches, which are set up by your admins, and this is what we'll actually be creating a little bit later in our demonstration. For instance, none of these searches are getting me exactly what I need, so I'm going to go ahead and create a custom search, and it's, yes, I do want to create a custom search, and here I'm presented with fields I can filter on, fields I want to display. I'm going to make sure that the name, the contract, plug that in. I don't care about created date. Let's do intake phase and see what we get. If I wanted to change the information that's displaying, I could do so. I can add more columns to the search display results, etc. I'm going to search this, and I got one result into my search. And so here I can, save the search if I wanted to, and I want to make sure I can come back to this. So we'll save it. If I want to display the results automatically, I would check this checkbox. I tend to say that's the best practice because it will enable you to get to your information more quickly. And thing to keep in mind with the saving of the searches is that it saves the search you performed, not necessarily the result. So if I come back and run this save search tomorrow and someone's added another matter that fits the criteria that I searched for, it will show up in these search results. So that was a real quick demonstration of the user capabilities of searching. One last thing I want to note before I move on to creating a search in the setup screen is that the search and mass update, what you'll notice is that this icon here, and I like to point this out because it tricks some people I found, is that it won't appear on the recently viewed. It will only appear on these object collections here. Okay, so now we'll transition over to a search that we're going to create. So you're hearing from your users that, they really want to find, and this is a typo, pretend this says bankruptcy. They want to find all the bankruptcies that were filed in a time period that perhaps may have an allegation. They want to understand all of the assignees on the matter, etc. So in our filter, what we're going to have is we're going to introduce the concept of section titles, and I'll show you what that is when we go through and create that search. And I'll also show you how to filter on a category, create a parameter so the users can go back and perhaps change that category if they would like, and then add some date filters. And in the results, we'll add the matter name, and we'll make it so that it's an object link so you can click right into the matter. Alpha save, list all of the assignees and all of the categories. If you were a user of TeamConnect before 3.3 SB3, you'll know that you can only list one assignee or one category. With SB3, it introduced the ability to add multiples, which is really handy in certain situations. And then we'll look at matter description and bankruptcy. And then this is what our filter is going to look like. We'll have, here's our bankruptcy detail, which is the section title concept that I was speaking about. And there are date file fields if you wanted to narrow down your search by some dates. And then here we have our bankruptcy field. And then you'll see our results display here as well. And here is what it looks like when you perform your search. We have our matter name, our current phase. It's showing all of our assignees and their role, and also you're able to click to their user in the system and their contact in the system and their category and file date. One thing you'll notice I did is I spanned columns on the description. This is extremely helpful if you have quite a lengthy description. You can, instead of creating one box on the screen and so it ends up taking a lot of screen real estate and pushing your search results down the screen, you'll expand the columns, and that way it's, more consolidated and more concise, and you can see multiple search results. Now we're going to go into TeamConnect here and create a search. So first things first, creating the search, we'll go into our setup screen. Drag this over here so y'all can see it. We'll go into object definitions and into disputes. So we're creating the search on the dispute object, so this is where we'll start. We'll click our search views tab here, and then go ahead and create new. So I have a lot of these names pre-typed since I've been figuring this instance. So we'll create a search that's bankruptcy, matters date field, enter the unique key. And the search that we're wanting to create is that object collection search. So I'm going to click object collection here, and we'll be able to define which groups have access to that information. So we'll go ahead and create the filter and results display information, and we'll come back to this section here, and I'll show you what this means and how it works. So the first item we're adding is our filter criteria. And remember, we were looking at creating a section title, making sure that the search is looking at bankruptcy category information, and then also we wanted to create those date fields so that the users have the opportunity to enter in dates into the system. So we're going to start with the category. We'll go into category selected here. And our conditions, we're going to enter in bankruptcy. There are certain instances where you can leave this blank and the users would be prompted to fill it in. But in this specific case, we want to fill it in predefined. That way they don't have to, because it's likely that they'll be looking at bankruptcy every time in this case. This list field here is what determines how they pick those selections should they want to change it. So for instance, they go to that filter screen and they see it says bankruptcy in there. Well, they would actually like to change it to employment matter. They can look through the list of available fields and select the employment matter. So list would be them going down the entire list and selecting one. If we chose the option multi-select list, they could select multiple items to search. We're going to select search field, and I'll show you what it does when we get back into the instance, because this enables the users to open up another window. So especially if you have a lot of categories, you can open up another window and it's much easier to navigate. And then in the same way, you can have a multi-select search field. So we're going to select one because we only want them to be searching one category with this particular search. And we're going to select bankruptcy. Just as we did in the rules webinar, the order is important to increment in fives or tens. That way, if you want to insert something in last minute, you can just insert it in and you won't have to worry about reordering all of your other information. The next part we're going to do is the section title. And what the section title enables you to do is break up that filter information. So instead of writing bankruptcy date file field, bankruptcy notice received date, bankruptcy proof of claim date, I just create a separate section for all the bankruptcy information. Section title, and then we're going to order this one of 5. The next item we are looking at is going to be the date filed field. And that will look into the custom field because that is a custom field that was created for the bankruptcy matter category. Date filed. And we have several different conditions here. I'm going to choose the between dates and then leave the dates blank. That way the users can choose to enter date information if they'd like, or they could just leave it out if it doesn't necessarily matter in this search. And then when the same, we're going to put in the notice received date. And that also is a custom field that you'll see under bankruptcy. We're going to make this one between dates as well. And then lastly, our proof of claim date. And in the same way, we're going to put between dates, leave them blank so the users have the opportunity to fill them in or not. Okay, so it looks like our filter is good. And now that we're satisfied with our filter, we'll move on to our results display. And in the results display, the first thing I want to show is the matter name. So object link is the hyperlinked matter name, so that's a good thing to remember in TeamConnect. The object link will refer to that object title and its particular matter and link to it. Here, 0, and add. Next, we will be adding the current phase. We want to make sure we know what phase these matters are in when we're looking at them. An order of 5. And next, we'll display all of the assignees. And we, in this case, want to display each assignee. If you wanted to only display those with the role of attorney, those with the role of paralegal, you could choose to do so by selecting their specific type in the role here. And we're going to leave it at all assignees because we're interested in understanding everyone that's working on this matter. And then next is category. And the same goes with category. So you can add the category description, the single category, or you can add the entire hierarchy. So if you have it categorized as bankruptcy and then further categorized as Chapter 11, you can choose to show the entire hierarchy, which we're going to continue with. And then description. And this is the matter description itself, and this is a custom field under the generic dispute object. So we will be able to find that here in matter description. And it is going to be ordered 20. And this is when we'll span the column because we want to make sure that the description doesn't take up too much screen real estate and push all of our other results down the screen. And last but not least, we want the file date, and that is a particular attribute of the bankruptcy category. Date filed, and it's just going to be date only format, 25. And then that looks good. So we're going to move back to our general page. We're going to save it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the information here. So with object collections, you can choose to send it out to different groups of people. And what this enables you to do is make sure that searches, like admins in TeamConnect, may not be interested in the same searches as a paralegal or an attorney or a legal operations associate. So you can choose to send out which searches you would like to different groups that are defined within TeamConnect. For this particular one, I'm just going to send to all groups for our purposes. It will ask me if you're okay with that, and it's subscribing those groups. Additionally, I'm going to hit auto search because I don't want my users to have to plug in information each time they run this search. I'd rather have them run the search, see if it fits what they need to look at. If not, they can go through and change the filter. So we'll save that, and we're going to look in TeamConnect and see if it's displaying for us right away. Here it is. It just popped up. Look at our search. So it's going to move to a different screen so you can see it run actually. See, there it runs. It's showing all of our information that fits this criteria. I can modify the filter if I wanted to. You can see we have our detail here. If I wanted to choose a different category, I can go through this search module and choose different categories and show those, and then search that information, and it displays a different group of matters. Okay. So we're going to transition back to our slide deck and talk a little bit about global search. So global search, there was a webinar about global search and the end user capabilities a couple of quarters ago. So I'm going to take a little bit more time to focus on the administrative functions because those I think are really important to understand the full features of global search. And if there's time at the end, I can go through a little bit more of the user information. So as I was speaking to earlier, a lot of times global search was disabled previous to the redesign because it slowed down the system. And if you have it disabled now, you can check to see if this checkbox is checked. So you get to this screen by going to Admin Settings, Search Results, and look at this information here. If you would like to enable it, uncheck. If you disable it, check it. Here at the top, there is a default option. So if you wanted to change the default option to a particular object, you want it to search transactions first, you can change that default option from all to transactions. Best practice is to change it so that way all your users aren't by default searching everything in the system. It's great to default it to a different object. That way they are searching something that's a little bit more specific to them. Another thing to keep in mind is that the maximum search results, this is defined in TeamConnect and will hold true for things that are searching on a TeamConnect database. Remember that the global search is running off a different search server, and so it will return more results than that maximum search results. But since it's been optimized, so there's no concern there. And then additionally, as an admin, you can choose to show the users the number of results that are fitting with their criteria that they just don't have access to, that it's blocked from their security group. I don't see this used too often, but if it is something that you're needing to show counts and numbers, perhaps just reporting that information to the leadership team, you can grant that access to users so that they're able to find the full count of information. Another part about the global search is that there is now an index tool. So this tool enables you to decide which objects get indexed, which objects are left out, how frequently the system is checking to re-index, and just to make sure that all the information that you want to search on is included. So this tool, users will need to have rights to them just like any other tool within TeamConnect, and you can grant them on the security group level. This is a screenshot of the tool itself. You can see which objects are currently indexed. So in this case, we have advice and counsel is indexed, appointments are indexed. Items like CSM settings, we've disabled. It doesn't make a lot of sense to index objects like that, especially because they're just settings and they're not something that you'll be wanting to search as a user. So new objects will appear here as they're created, and they won't index automatically. Administrators will have to go in and choose to index those items. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can remove drop-downs from the global search. And I'm going to pop into TeamConnect actually and just show you this a little bit more detail. So this drop-down here, there are a lot of objects in this instance, especially because we use it for trainings and testing. I think this has also been used for some working groups, so there's quite a bit of objects in here. So what I did prior to our webinar is I went through and removed all of those objects that didn't necessarily apply. And I did that by going into the object definition and removing them from the global search. And just another screenshot of the administration of the indexing and of those functions, seeing when it started, when it finished. And at the end of that page, there is this index selected button, and that's what enables you to index items that have not yet been indexed. And this index frequency will let you know how often those indexes are being re-indexed and checking for new information that's been added into TeamConnect. So a couple of these items I want to go over. The UUID is a unique ID to your environment. And anytime you're looking at an issue with global search, reporting to the support team, that UUID will be critical in having the team understand a little bit more about your unique code. We went over the frequency, so it will only look at existing and enabled objects. If you wanted to test the connection, you can do that. You can clean the search database. So what this really enables you to do is clean up any information that's been indexed, especially objects that you at one time indexed and have now since that you would not like to search them anymore and unindexed. You can then clean up all that remaining information that was at one time indexed. And if you wanted to drop the entire index, like all the objects, you can do so with drop index. Be very careful with that button just in case you don't really want to drop all of that. So we're going to use the search view information that we learned to configure this global search. So what this search is we're configuring a filter, and we're going to add jurisdiction and significant to the filter, and then we're also going to show some of the results displayed. We're going to show all assignees like we did, show current phase, main assignee, and outside counsel with links to the record. So as an example of what it looks like, this is our target result here. We have our filters on the side. We have jurisdiction and significant matter, which we can filter by a little bit more. We have all of our dispute information, and it's split up into columns. It's time to jump into TeamConnect. So same thing, we'll go into our setup screen, and we'll go back to our search views on our object definition, and we'll create a new search. A unique key must be absent of spaces, and then our search type is global search. Global search searches will only enable you to select one attribute here. For instance, let me just pick something else. It won't let me select multiple if global search is selected. If I wanted to select multiple, normally it would let me. But global search is the only one that can be selected at one time for searches. We're going to go over into our filter. So the filter will look a little bit different than the other filters that you were used to, because it only has a few bits of information here, and it's much more quickly and streamlined than the other ones, just because of the nature of how the filters work in global search. And significant matter, type significant matter in, we'll find that significant matter information and add more. And then that's our filter. Our filter is done. TeamConnect will automatically add matter type and the modified information, and then it'll then supplement that with jurisdiction and significant matter, since that's what we've chosen to add. In our results display, we are first going to start with assignees. So one thing to keep in mind is that when configuring global searches, it will automatically add in a object link into that search and a tag of what kind of object it is. So that's something we don't need to add into the results display ourselves. And we're going to show all assignees here. Order this as 0, add more. I also want to show the current phase. That's somewhat similar to what we had previously. And additionally, we're going to show outside counsel that may be assigned to this matter. And outside counsel is involved party on the matter. So we're going to go to involved parties and look at involved parties. If we wanted to show all courts assigned to the matter or all investigators assigned to the matter, we can choose these options. We're going to go into and show all outside counsel firms. Just display the contact. And the next thing we want to call out are any relations that there are on a matter. If it's a related matter to a different dispute, or if it's something that is a child of another matter, we want to show all of those relations. And all types here. You could show just a particular one if you're interested in, like if it's a third-party claim, you're only interested in one, but in this case, we're going to be interested in all. And we're going to put this in column number 2 because we want to show up not underneath the outside counsel information, but over to the right of it. Not only do we want to see all assignees, we want to call out specifically the main assignee. And last but not least, we want to know if it's a significant matter. That is actually a custom field under the disputes category. Oops. Forgot to select dispute there. There we go. And one thing I did notice is that I forgot to add the main assignee into column 2. So we're going to add that person into column 2 simply by editing that item. So go back to our general page. We're going to save it, and we're going to check it out in TeamConnect shortly. But before we do that, I want to pop down here on this page and show you this item. So this line of text here is indicating that this search view that you populate will display for the global search results. So the one we just added, refresh this page. We added dispute search global test. So we're going to add that there. We're going to save it, and then we're going to navigate back into TeamConnect and see that in the search results. So you can see what we created. And let's scroll down to look at our dispute filters, and you can see that we can choose between significant, not significant, and we can look at jurisdictions. And it'll show you how many results satisfy those filters, too, in these parentheses. So you can see that we have 12 that are significant, 17 that are not. We wanted to then further filter by bankruptcy. You can see if any show up there. You can see there are a few. We're going to go back to our slide deck. So I do have a few tips and tricks for you guys. Some of them are reviews, some of them are new. Section titles, we went ahead and created a section title for our search view. That way we could group information into the search filter. We also span columns for the matter description so that it doesn't push all the information down to the bottom of the screen. We looked at the search field filter, and it's this icon we added here, so that way it pops up as a separate box and users can easily navigate and click which information they'd like to include. And this one is new, so this is a related object search. So not a lot of people know, or not a lot of people that I've spoken to recently are aware that you can change and replace some of the related object searches in TeamConnect. So if this involves party display right here, if it's not giving you all the information you need or you need different information, you can create a related object search view for involved parties under disputes and change it out. Another new tip is on my approval screen. So something search views enable you to do is you can change out what users will see on their approval screen for a certain object. So in particular, this one, I'm looking at the invoice object. And down here at the bottom, under our global search configurations, there's this drop down that says workflow approvals. And so that's what we'll go ahead and change. We're going to change it to a search view that we configured. Save it, and then look at what it does. It inserted some vendor information, invoice date, invoice total, and then a period from and to. And so if users need a little bit more information at the forefront, we can bring that to them through a search view. I have a number of global search tips. So I'm going to go through these fairly quickly because there are a few, and they're all centered around the Boolean search and tips and tricks. Don't worry about copying them down. These will be included in some supplemental information. That way you guys have it and you can refer to it and distribute it to your users. So with searching in the global search, there are different tips and tricks and Boolean items. The first one we'll look at is and. You can type in the word and or type in two and characters, and you can then return back information. So this one in particular is returning back those that satisfy Johnson and legal corp. And then there's also an or option, so you can add information that will be Johnson, legal corp, or those. And then proximity. So this is finding words within certain character ranges of each other. And so right now, this particular search is looking for acne and environment within 100 characters of each other. And there's fuzzy searching too, so it sounds like the Johnson with the fuzzy search will return Johnston and Johnson. Wildcard searching if you need to replace a character. So this particular question mark, Bill, will return back Will, Bill, and Hill. And then you can also wildcard searches return back bookends, essentially. This one will return block, bank, and frank. And then one step, if you wanted to return back that information, but then just exclude a few items, like all of those that have the results of court in them, you can remove court from those results. And another last tip and trick we have here is if you have any questions, the online help is super valuable and helpful, and it's accessible directly through the interface. So every user has access to this online help, starting in 4.0, I believe. And it will give you all the information, all the documentation. It's updated weekly, so it's up to date. If we find errors or things we want to clarify, we'll put that in there and update it. And then I wanted to point out where you can find all of the information about the webinars and the supplemental information on the Client Support Center. That's found under Content, and you can search and under Content with tags. I typically tag all of the information I put up on here with webinar. It's also tagged with TeamConnect, and it will be tagged with the subject that is included. So this one will have search views and a global search, and you can search through all of that information, and all of the webinars will be recorded here as well. And then while I'm going through some Mitratech updates, we're going to bring up the last set of poll questions. So just take a quick look at the poll questions. Let us know what other topics you'd like to see. If you have any ideas how to make these webinars better, please feel free to send those into the Q&A in the chat. That way we can make sure these are tailored just for you guys. We do have an upcoming CEO webinar on the 14th. It's going to be a lot of information. Jason will be presenting about what is coming up for us and what we've been working on this quarter. And then our product management team is looking at really making sure we're promoting this portal. And this is the ideas portal. So even if you don't have any ideas you'd like to submit, you can go through and vote on other ideas. And then TeamConnect 5.0 is coming, guys. I know we've been hyping this up a lot. It's coming very soon. I especially give you the hint to tune into the CEO webinar, since Jason will have more information on it. This is a screenshot from a search view on the dispute object. You can see here's the global search at the top. All the objects are here listed on the left-hand pane. Here's the search view. It's extremely pleasing to the eye. I know I got a hold of it, and I was thrilled and excited about some of the features that are in it that I expected other websites, and now TeamConnect also has them. The type ahead search, some of the other replacing of buttons with new default items. I guess I'm nerding out about it, but I really like it. I think it's awesome. Now we'll go through our questions and see what we have here. Can I hide filters and search views? Yes, you can certainly hide filters and search views. There is an option to make them invisible. And a lot of times this is used, I think I've seen it used where people want to make sure that any results they're returning, they need an active assignee on the matter, so someone who is still with the company, still using TeamConnect. They've wanted to make sure that all the results they were returning were active. And I believe in this case it was because they were using it as a research tool, so they wanted to make sure that the person who worked on it was still at the company, and the person performing search could talk to that other employee and ask about that matter. If a user doesn't need an object collection, can they remove it? Yes. Let me pull up TeamConnect 2, and I'll show you. Here with this Manage button, users can go through and remove searches that they don't want to save. So if they click this and save, they can remove it. In the same, they can subscribe to project collections that they don't currently have access to, and hasn't been pushed out to them necessarily, and they can add it. I'm going to add this one. I can subscribe. Back to it, see. And you can see it's now there at the top. So this manage link is a right. So if you need your users to have this, you can go and add that to their group, and it'll be a right that they can then take advantage of. And in the same, if they shouldn't be removing searches or adding new searches that they haven't been specifically added to, you can remove that right. How many searches will appear in the recent searches drop down? So it's this one, and that's 5. 5 recent searches will appear there. Can you clarify again which version of TeamConnect the global search was introduced? So it was redesigned in version 4.1. Can I make search view that already have in the system global searches? TeamConnect won't allow you to multi-select object collection and a global search. You can't make that single search both available as an object collection and a global search. What I would recommend is that you copy that object collection, just change up the name a little bit so it allows you to save it, and then you can use it as a global search by saving that one as a global search. Do I have to purchase Elasticsearch? No. This is something that does come with TeamConnect 4.1. You can Google Elasticsearch too, and there's a lot of industry information about it on Google. Our Mitratech hosting team will set it up for you if you're hosted with us. And then if you're on-premise, your team will be responsible for setting that up. There's a few questions coming in that I see, and I actually have to look into a little bit further to make sure I get a specific answer for you, and I'll reach out to those individuals separately. I'll keep it open a few more moments and continue to type in anything that you guys have. For those that have all their questions answered, I thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. Feel free to suggest topics to me. If you want to reach out to me individually, you can do so. Let me pull up my name here so you guys can see it. And if you need to email me separately, it's just my first dot last name at mitratech.com. Let me check this search again. Yes, I will post the idea site URL, and then the specific user who asked for it, I can email it to you as well. Okay, so we'll leave it open for a few minutes. For those that I didn't get to your questions, I definitely have them. I'll reach out to you individually so we can talk about it a little bit more. and you should expect to hear from me by the end of the week.